All right, so factor by grouping. This is going to look very different at first, but then really it's the same idea. And this is kind of a shortcut to having to do a really, really awful way. All right, so we got some steps there. Group into two sections, take a GCF from each group, factor out the resulting common factor, and check that it's factored completely. All right, that doesn't make a lot of sense unless I look at one of these and kind of walk my way through. All right, so there are four terms there. By grouping them, we mean take two of them at a time. All right, so I'm going to take these two, and then I'm going to take these two. All right, notice I included the sign with them. So I'm going to treat these as two separate little things and take out the GCF for each of them. All right, and I have to make sure I do this very, very carefully. All right, so when I do this, the greatest common factor for, let's actually do these in two different colors so I can kind of just keep saying the colors of the boxes. All right, the greatest common factor for the orange box is an x squared. All right, they both have an x squared. All right, so that means I'm going to divide both of these by x squared. And I'm going to get x squared times, make sure you do the division carefully, x minus 2. All right, so now one of the things we did with GCF when we did it was we said if the first thing's negative, make sure you take out a negative GCF. So in the red box, it's negative 3x plus 6. They both will divide by 3, but because this is a negative right here in front of the first thing, I'm going to take out a negative 3. So I'm going to divide both these by negative 3. And what that's going to do is we're going to put a minus 3 there. And then this is going to become x and then minus 2. Now, the most important thing is that these two things right here in the parentheses, they have to be the same or I didn't do this correctly. All right, so I'm going to put a little note here. The parenthesis part needs to be the same. Let me make sure I can read that. Parenthesis part needs to be the same, or else it's wrong. All right, so if you didn't get the same parenthesis, immediately stop, go back, look. Did you factor out the right thing? Did you forget a negative sign? What happened in there that made them not come out to be the same? All right. So now what I do is I basically have, again, I've got two different things here. All right, so we'll do purple this time. So I have this purple box and I have this black box. They both have an x minus 2. And what I can do is factor that x minus 2 out to the front. So it's going to be x minus 2 times x squared minus 3. All right, now, the way that I always think about this when I do it, and the good news is you don't factor like this a whole lot, even no matter what level of math you take. It's not a common thing that you have to do. You have to know how to do it, but it's not a common thing. Is I just take, and I didn't use to highlight, I used to circle, but I can highlight. So I've got green, and then I've got yellow. All right, so then what I should end up with is one of the green parentheses, and then the other yellow stuff should be in a second parenthesis. All right, you do want to be careful here because sometimes you'll have, something you can factor further. Usually it's going to be a difference of two perfect squares if it does happen in there like that. All right, you can also distribute this out and make sure that it gives you the same thing that you started with. All right, these are a pain if you're not careful, and they're a pain even if you are careful because you have to be so specific about things. All right, the key is those parentheses have to be the same. All right, so you have to force them to be the same. With the next one, I'll show you kind of a little trick you can do with the second part to make sure that you get the parentheses to come out to be the same.